So here we are in Homer, which was the furthest most point on our trip, all the way from Atlanta. You can see it there on the spot map. All the way up there in the bottom left corner is Homer. Homer's a lot of fun. It's a little cool down there. It's right on the Cook Inlet. But there's lots to see. There's lots of bald eagles. The flowers have big blooms on them just because of all the long daylight hours. There's lots of activity, fishing activity. It's pretty much a fishing village. And right there from the ground or the hotel, you can see across the Cook Inlet some pretty mountains. There's the bay where all the ships are. While we were eating lunch, we watched a C-17 drop flares. That was kind of fun. And then here we are departing from the Homer Airport. And so what we're going to do here now is go up the Comanche, make sure I get that name right, Kachemak Inlet towards Anchorage. Now, we had intended to actually go a little bit more to the west and fly the Cook Inlet up to Anchorage, but there were lots of reports of some low ground fog along that route, and we talked to both Homer Flight Service and then Kenai Flight Service once we got airborne, and they recommended we go the inland route. So that's what we did. So here we are again flying up the Kachemak Inlet. There's a little town of Kachemak up at the end of the inlet here, but due to ground, a little bit of fog there, and low clouds, we really didn't get to see the town much. You can see it's a very safe route going this way, and there were reports some airplanes had already come that way, and everybody thought it would be fine, so that is the way we went. Just some wispy clouds there, right at the end of the inlet primarily with all that cold water. And as we continued across what is the Kenai Peninsula, the lower clouds just kind of dissipated, and it's really, really pretty. It looks a little boring here out the front view, the cameras. What you're missing here is the side view. And especially off the right wing, Carol got a bunch of pictures. There's the Harding Ice Pack and feeds a number of these lakes, including the one that's coming up right now, is the Tustalamina Lake, and that's fed from the Harding Ice Pack, which is on the east side or right side of the aircraft here. And we've got some pictures at the end of the video here to show that to you. So there's a couple of lakes along the way. The next one is Skilak Lake, and that's also fed by the Harding Ice Pack. Harding Ice Pack is really pretty. We've flown up it other times, but this time the clouds were just a little bit too low to go up on the Harding Ice Pack. You got to really be careful, as I mentioned in one of the other videos. You can get into what's called grayout conditions and just get flat light, it's called. You start climbing up these glaciers with a gray sky, and then the clouds and the snow start to blend into each other, and you can actually very quickly lose situational and spatial awareness. So you want to be careful doing that. So here we are just continuing up towards Anchorage. This is the Skilak Lake coming up on the right there. Again, that one is fed by the Harding Ice Pack. So one of the things as a pilot you're going to start doing here is start listening to Anchorage approach for the weather, and then we're landing at Merrill Field, so we want to listen to that AWAS as well, because right about the time we get to the Cook Inlet, there's a couple of reporting points, so we're going to call ATC and get ready to fly the approach into Merrill Field. And when I say approach, I should call it an arrival. As I mentioned earlier, you're expected to have your at least knowledge of the airport facility directory up here. And it's done well in ForeFlight, so you can just pull them up. But coming here from the south, we're going to fly what's called the Campbell arrival. And we're going to walk you through that as we get closer. So basically here we're about 1,000 feet over the ground. The Campbell arrival calls for you to be at or below 1,200 MSL. So we're going to be in a good position to join that arrival here. It's pretty in its own way here. And then the next, I think 2 days later, we actually drove the Kenai Peninsula. And so we got to see a different perspective from the ground. It was actually very, very pretty from the ground. And lots of fire damage as well. We were really shocked at the scope of some of the fires. So here we are approaching the Cook Inlet. You can see the marsh there. That's all glacial drain there. And so as we're coming across the Cook Inlet, now we're about 1,200 feet or so, and we've called approach. We've let them know that we're going to go to Merrill Field. And so they've given us a squawk code. And you're going to kind of hug the mountainside here on the right side. So Anchorage being up and to the left. The tide here is at its low point. This is the Cook Inlet. The Cook Inlet has some very large tides, 38 feet, I think, some of the largest tides in the world. So there's some houses we're going by, but they must have a beautiful view from the ground. And pretty soon here, we're going to approach what's called the Campbell airstrip. It's coming up here, and we're going to have it on a little longer picture for you to see it. There it is. There's the Campbell airstrip. So that's where you're expected to fly over and then make a shallow left turn towards the Tudor bus barn. It's a little hard to see there, but if you look in the kind of left center, you can see some yellow buses. And then the next thing you want to be careful of is you look straight ahead up there just before we turned here, and there is Elmendorf Air Force Base right there, straight ahead, top in the center of the screen, and you're thinking, oh, the runway's straight ahead. Do not do that. That's where you make your left turn, as seen here, right towards downtown Atlanta, and Merrill Field will be, actually it's downtown Anchorage. Merrill Field will be lined up right there. So you can see the approach to Merrill. There's a good picture of our shadow right there on final. And then just ask for parking, transient parking, and they'll give you directions to get there. Here's some pictures of what I told you would see out the right side of the aircraft. You can see the Hardy Ice Pack and some of the glaciers there. And you can see that flat light at the top, why you don't want to fly up those glaciers when you've got a cloud, solid cloud layer like that. You can get up to the top and you will lose it. But it is really, really beautiful and very tempting. And on a pretty blue day, you fly to the top there of the Hardy Ice Pack. It's like going to Antarctica, at least from what we've seen of pictures. It's just gorgeous. And then I think we got a view here out the left side of the aircraft, if I didn't miss it. Those would be all the mountains across the west side there of the Cook Inlet. And Mount Redoubt volcano is over there as well. So really, really pretty trip. Looking out left and right side of the aircraft. So enjoy. Hopefully you get your juices going here and want to go see Alaska yourself. If you do, be careful, but know the trip is really going to be worth it. It's a lot of fun.